One night, 9 deaths. What began as an ordinary winter expedition by a group of university students became one of the most enduring unsolved cases of the 20th century, classified as a state secret. For more than 66 years, the truth has remained classified, debated, and never fully explained. Some mysteries belong to time. Before it became a mystery, before it became a theory, before it became a legend, this was simply a hiking expedition. 10 students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set out on a winter journey across the northern Urals. It was classified as a Category 3 expedition, the highest level of difficulty at the time. The route was expected to take 16 to 18 days, more than 300 kilometers on skis, with planned ascents of 2 remote peaks, Mount Otorten and Oikachakur. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a fifth-year university student and an experienced traveler. By that time, he had already completed multiple Category 3 expeditions, the highest level of difficulty recognized in Soviet mountaineering. He was respected for his discipline, his careful preparation, and his calm leadership. Many students wanted to join expeditions under his command. On January 23, 1959, the expedition began. Each member carried a heavy backpack, filled with equipment, clothing, and food supplies meant to last for weeks in extreme winter conditions. The expedition began smoothly. The group was in good spirits. The weather held. The rhythm of the journey felt steady. But at the first major stop, near the area of the Vizhay settlement, the course of the expedition quietly changed. One of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, began to feel sharp pain in his leg. After careful consideration, a decision was made that he could not continue. Before turning back, Yudin handed over his equipment and part of his food supplies to the rest of the group. Igor Dyatlov asked him to inform the university that the expedition might be delayed by several days. Later, it became clear that Yudin never delivered the message. The group continued without him. 9 hikers moved on into the mountains. Everything known about what happened next comes from what the group left behind, their diaries and their photographs. On February 1st, after establishing a supply cache in the Auspia River Valley, the group ascended the slope of a mountain known to the local Mansi people as Kolatshakal, a name often translated as Dead Mountain. There, on the open slope, they set up camp for the night, a night that would prove fatal. They were expected to return to Sverdlovsk by February 15th, when the group did not return by the scheduled date. The first to raise the alarm were the families of the students. On the night of February 16th, authorities attempted to contact Vijay by telephone to determine whether the group had returned. The answer was negative. Search operations began soon after. Aerial reconnaissance was carried out. The Dyatlov group had not submitted their route log to the university's hiking club. As a result, search teams did not know where to look first. Days were lost. Only later, with the help of the sister of one of the hikers, was the planned route reconstructed from notes and documents. On February 22nd, 3 search teams were formed, made up of students, instructors, and experienced climbers. Local residents joined the effort as well, including hunters from the Mansi community. During interviews, the hunters reported signs of a recent campsite in the Auspia River Valley. On the left bank of the river, searchers discovered faint ski tracks, nearly erased by snow, sometimes disappearing entirely. Following them, the rescuers came upon something unexpected: a tent. It stood on the slope of Kolatshakal, partially buried beneath the snow. It was the tent of Dyatlov's group. No students were inside, but the items left behind were carefully arranged. Clothing, equipment, documents. Among those involved in the search were experienced instructors and seasoned hikers who had personally known Igor Dyatlov. They were experienced instructors, seasoned hikers, people who had known Igor Dyatlov personally and trusted his professionalism. What they saw at the campsite immediately troubled them. The tent stood on an open slope, a place where Dyatlov, with his experience, would never have chosen to camp. It offered no natural protection from wind or weather. The tent was partially covered with snow, but only slightly. This raised a troubling question. How could a tent remain so lightly covered after nearly a month in the Ural Mountains, where snowfall is frequent and winds are relentless? It looked as if it had been set up not long before it was discovered. One member of the search team, who knew the students personally, said something that stayed with many afterward. He believed the tent had not been pitched by the group at all. According to him, it looked like the work of someone who understood the theory of tent placement, but lacked real experience. Another detail deepened the mystery. A flashlight was found on top of the tent. It was lightly dusted with snow, and when tested, its battery still worked. Footprints were also discovered leading away from the campsite. They did not suggest panic. They did not show chaos. They appeared orderly, as if the people had been walking, not running. This observation led to an obvious question. If the hikers had fled the tent in terror, forced out by an avalanche, cutting their way through the fabric in desperate haste, why did the tracks below the slope show no signs of urgency? Why did they look calm, measured, almost deliberate? It was another detail that did not fit any simple explanation. The first bodies were found near a large cedar tree more than a kilometer from the tent. Two men, nearly undressed, bare skin exposed to the cold. Beside them were the remains of a small fire. High above, on the cedar tree, branches were broken, as if someone had climbed upward in desperation. Searchers later noted that the amount of work done around the tree suggested more than 2 people had been there. Not far away, on the slope leading back toward the tent, 3 more bodies were discovered. Together, 5 students had now been found. Their positions told a silent story. They were moving uphill, back toward the tent, as if they had tried to return. Some showed signs of serious internal injuries. Several had ice formed on their faces, evidence that they were still breathing as they lay dying in the snow. The bodies were not found together. They were scattered across the landscape. Whatever happened that night, and whatever forced them to leave the tent, remains an unanswered question to this day. During the early stages of the investigation, one theory was considered first. Authorities suspected that the hikers may have been attacked by members of the indigenous Mansi people of the northern Urals. The Mansi were questioned. They stated that they had not been near the site in early February, had not seen the group, and had no connection to the incident. They also explained that the mountain considered sacred in their culture was located elsewhere, far from the place where the tragedy occurred. This version was soon abandoned. On February 17th, many residents of the middle and northern Urals reported seeing a mysterious fireball in the night sky. Its nature was never officially explained. At the time, rocket and aviation tests were being conducted in the region and secret technologies were in use. For many, this coincidence became impossible to ignore. The sightings were soon linked to the deaths of the students in the mountains. Over the years, this connection would become one of the most widely discussed theories surrounding the Dyatlov Pass tragedy. In early May, when the snow had partially melted, the remaining 4 bodies were finally discovered. They were found in a ravine. Forensic examinations revealed severe injuries. Bones were broken, by what experts described as the impact of great force. There were no external wounds that could explain the scale of the damage. At one point, investigators considered whether the hikers had been exposed to some form of energetic or radiological influence. Items of clothing and samples of internal organs were sent for radiological testing. Elevated levels of radiation were detected on small areas of 3 clothing items. However, the type and level of radiation found could not explain either the injuries or the deaths of the hikers. Soon after, the results of the radiological examination were removed from the criminal case files, officially described as not relevant to the investigation. One detail stood out in particular. One female student was found without her tongue. The surrounding tissues showed no clear signs of a strugular animal attack. The reason for this was never conclusively explained. On May 28, 1959, the criminal case was closed. No crime was found. The official conclusion stated that the deaths were caused by an overwhelming natural force, later described as an avalanche. The Dyatlov Pass case has remained classified for more than 66 years. During that time, countless theories have emerged, official and unofficial, scientific and speculative. Each attempts to explain what happened that night. But which of them comes closest to the truth is something no one can say for certain. One of the official conclusions suggests that the group was overcome by a powerful natural phenomenon. This includes versions involving a sudden avalanche or a slab of snow shifting on the slope. Supporters of this theory argue that cutting their way out of the tent from the inside could explain the group's hurried escape into the night. Critics, however, point out that the slope showed no clear signs of an avalanche and that the tent itself remained standing. Another explanation focuses on severe wind, low visibility, and extreme cold. Under such conditions, disorientation and panic can occur even among experienced hikers. According to this theory, the group may have left the tent to seek shelter below the slope, but lost their way in the darkness. Yet, questions remain about the injuries and the scattered locations of the bodies. Some researchers propose that powerful winds around the mountain may have created low-frequency sound waves, infrasound. Such sounds are inaudible but are believed to cause intense anxiety, panic, and a sudden urge to flee. This theory attempts to explain the group's behavior without evidence of an attack. However, it remains difficult to prove. Reports of fireballs in the sky have led to speculation about secret military tests or experimental technology. According to this view, the students may have witnessed something unexpected or been affected by forces never meant to be seen by civilians. No official documents have ever confirmed this theory. Another version suggests that one member of the group, Semyon Zolotaryov, may have joined the expedition for reasons unrelated to hiking. Supporters of this view point to his age, his military background, and the timing of secret tests in the region. However, no documents have ever confirmed that he carried secret information or performed any covert role during the journey. The case was sealed as a state secret. In the Soviet Union, the period of state secrecy was set at 75 years. More than 6 decades have already passed. Only 9 years remain. Many still hope that the truth will one day be revealed. Perhaps the mystery will finally be uncovered. Or perhaps the Dyatlov Pass case will be lost forever, in the cold, in the snow, in the silence of the mountains.